Welcome to The Balance Era, a podcast for the women rewriting the rules. Here, we leave behind the pressure to be perfect and step into a life built on self-love, softness, strength, and intention. I'm your host, Madison, a former overachiever, fitness girl, and lifelong perfectionist, learning how to slow down, show up, and trust myself again. Each week, we'll be talking about what it really means to live in alignment, from body image and burnout to confidence, femininity, and chasing big dreams without losing yourself in the process. This is your space to breathe, to feel seen, and to remember you don't have to choose between ambition and peace. Welcome to the Balance Era. You're right on time. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Balance Era podcast. Earlier this week, I watched a video on understanding and overcoming limiting beliefs, and it really got me thinking. I learned a lot in that video, and I took some notes that I want to share with you all. But I also just want to give you some of my own experience and advice with this as well, because I have definitely explored just how our minds work and where we even get limiting beliefs from in the first place. And as someone who understands how isolating and how serious limiting beliefs can feel, I just feel like this information is so important to share. And so that is why I'm making today's episode, and I'm so excited. So let's just get right into it. I'm going to start by sharing the notes that I took from the video that I watched, and then we'll get into the specific definition of limiting beliefs, as well as understanding where they come from, and then I'll share some common examples that you might have, and then just a few little tips and tricks on how to overcome them, specifically the tools that I have used to work through them, and then also some journal prompts just to help rewire your mindset and your thoughts. So let's just get right into it. The first takeaway that I got from the video that I watched is that all beliefs are limiting beliefs. And what this means essentially is that any belief that you have is going to put you into a box, good or bad. So every thought has boundaries, and it creates essentially a box that shapes your reality. So for example, if you are someone that says, I am not good with money, I am too late to start this thing in my career that I want to start, I will never find someone that loves me, you are putting yourself in that box. You are putting yourself in the box of someone that is bad with money, or that is going to stay stuck because they can't take that next step in their career. Because what your subconscious mind accepts as true is what becomes your experienced truth. And I'm just so fascinated by our subconscious mind. I was just reading a book this week. When I say reading, I listened to the audiobook because I was driving a lot this weekend. But it's like understanding the subconscious mind, or the power of your subconscious mind. I can't remember the specific title, but such a good book. And I'm just so fascinated in how the subconscious mind works. And so I definitely plan on doing a full episode on that, but for now I'm just kind of touching on it. The next thing that I learned from the video that I watched is that a belief is just emotion and repetition combined. So a belief forms when a thought that is repeated often and is emotionally charged becomes your reality. And the key takeaway that I got from this video is that you cannot avoid being in a box, so just make sure you choose the right box. Put yourself in the box of someone that is good with money, that is deserving of a loving relationship, and someone that has a loving relationship, of someone that is empowered to take that next step in their career to get them closer to that goal that they have for themselves. Put yourself in that box instead of the scarcity box that you are stuck in. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that beliefs are energetic entities, and they exist as patterns in your mind and attached to emotion, which influences your subconscious and your reality. So then they reinforce themselves when the experiences in reality confirm them, which then boosts your ego and solidifies the pattern. So again, going back to the example of I'm someone that is bad with money. You look at a way that you were bad with money, like, oh, I went shopping when I shouldn't have. And then you're like, oh, see, I am bad with money, which then boosts your ego and solidifies the pattern. Same thing with I am, like there's no one out there for me. I'm not deserving of a loving relationship. Then when that person comes into your life and they do treat you like crap, things don't work out, you're like, see, I'm not meant to be in a relationship, things don't work out for me, which then boosts your ego and solidifies the pattern, which keeps you in that box. Those are my key takeaways from the video that I watched, and it just was very informative, and it just really got me thinking. And so I want to talk more about limiting beliefs because I think that so many people have them and don't even realize. So what are limiting beliefs? Essentially, they are thoughts that we accept as truth that limit our potential. So this can be anything. This can be, I'm too late to start something new. Social media is too saturated. I'll never succeed. I am stupid. Like, it could be literally anything, but it's something that you accept as truth and it limits your potential. So they can often sound logical, but they're rooted in fear. Limiting beliefs can come from so many different places, but a few different examples are childhood experiences. So if you are lacking confidence and you remember in your childhood that your mother was constantly criticizing you and putting you down, because sadly that is the reality of some people, if you are constantly looking at the things that you feel are wrong with you because you learned that from your mom, that came from your childhood experience. Another place they can come from are cultural / like social narratives and expectations. And so beauty, success, timelines, like I mentioned in the last episode. So feeling super behind when you're in your 20s because you think that you have to stick to this certain timeline, which if you look deeper into it, there's really no truth to that. It's just the truth that you have accepted because it's the societal norm. Another place that limiting beliefs can come from are trauma and rejection. And that is definitely where a lot of mine came from as I continue to work through these and learn more about myself and the limiting beliefs that I had about myself. I realized so much of it was tied to trauma and rejection, and it is just so crazy because I held those beliefs to be so real and so true to me. And now that I'm looking at it from like a bird's eye view, it's like, oh my gosh, of course I felt that way. Like, it makes sense because I was trying to protect myself. Another place that they can come from is past failure, which then presents itself in your current day reality as current fear. So if you used to be bad with money and you're holding on to that idea of I am bad with money, then it's going to be your current fear of, oh, I'm bad with money. And the thing that happens is that we internalize these stories that we're telling ourselves and we carry them like facts when in reality they're not. They're just old programs that are replaying in your mind, and if you're not aware of them, they're going to keep replaying. But once you become aware of them, which you're going to do in this episode, you can rewire them and rewrite your story that you're telling yourself. I want to share a few more common limiting beliefs that might resonate with some of you if you're unsure what your current limiting belief could be. And it's definitely common to have more than one, but I'm just going to list a few. For career and money category, we have I'm not ready, or on the opposite, it's too late for me. Going into self-worth, it could be I'm not enough, I'm too emotional, I'll never be confident like that person. When it comes to relationships, it could be if I show the real version of me, they won't want to be with me, or I'm too independent to be loved. Two of the limiting beliefs that I carried for so long that I shared in my first podcast episode was the idea that I was overweight and fat because the InBody scan told me that I was a certain body fat percentage, and so that immediately switched my mind into thinking, well, you are fat. And also, I think I touched on this in that episode too, with like the imposter syndrome that I was feeling with being on social media. It was the thought that I believed to be so true that everyone thought that what I was doing was stupid and that I was dumb. I believed those to be so true for so long, and that is partially why I got so interested in limiting beliefs and understanding how our minds work in the first place, because when I was struggling so much with those thoughts, I knew that I didn't always have those thoughts and that I didn't used to think about myself in that way. So I'm like, how could I believe these things to be so true when 2 years prior those thoughts did not occur in my mind at all? So that's a little background on how I got interested in it and just a few common limiting beliefs that you could be having as well. When trying to identify your own limiting beliefs, here are a few signs that you are being run by one of your limiting beliefs. You downplay your desires, so you know what you want to do, but you find yourself continuing to downplay them and not take them as serious because of such and such limiting belief. You procrastinate out of fear, you feel stuck or small, and you talk yourself out of big dreams. It's all the same idea of there's some limiting belief blocking you from what you truly want to do. But if the idea that you're holding to be true feels fearful or shaming, it is probably not your truth. Some prompts that you can just run through in your mind to kind of uncover what your limiting beliefs could be are, what's a belief that I have about myself that might not be true? And you're going to have to get honest with this one. And just like, when I list these prompts, my favorite way to kind of think about them is to just pick one, write it down on my phone, and then look at it before I go on a walk, and then just spend that entire walk like thinking, what's a belief that I have about myself that might not be true? And just allow yourself that 30 minutes to think about it and kind of explore your mind, because thoughts will pop up that you didn't even know were there. And it's just a good way to kind of understand yourself. Another prompt that you could think about when you are trying to discover your own limiting beliefs is, what do I believe I'm not allowed to do or have? So if you have a limiting belief around money, for example, let's say people like me don't make money like that, don't get opportunities like that. That is a limiting belief. You are choosing to believe that, and that is not true. And the last prompt when you're going through your mind trying to figure out your limiting beliefs is, where did that belief come from, and is it really mine? Because a lot of the times, beliefs can be put into our mind, and particularly our subconscious mind, that we don't even know where they came from. They could come from our parents when we were growing up. They could come from kids at school. It's very common nowadays to have these things pop up on social media, and you just absorb it and it becomes your belief. So being able to really question the beliefs that you do have and think, where did this come from, and is it mine? For me, I found myself muting a lot of different Instagram accounts and unfollowing because I would find myself like consuming too much information and kind of obsessing over that and making, like, really questioning what I was doing, because I would feel fine with what I was doing, and then I would look at what someone else says on social media and they say, no, you have to do it this way. So when I start to, think, oh my gosh, am I doing this wrong? Am I bad? But you need to just allow yourself to really go in on your own beliefs and think, what do I truly believe deep down, and what resonates with me and my goals, etc. Moving along, let's talk about how to rewire your thoughts in your mind and release these limiting beliefs. I have 2 different things that I will recommend. The first one is kind of a journaling moment, and then the second one is more of a visual thing. Like, you're still writing things down, but it's not journal prompts. It's more of a drawing. So I'm going to start with the journal prompts. The first thing you're going to do is bring awareness to the belief. So you're just going to name it. So I'm just going to give an example that I think some of you will relate to. Let's name the belief, I need to do blank thing on my to-do list in my 20s. So I need to get married, or I need to buy a house, or I need to do this or this or this. So I need to get married in my 20s. Question it. So who told me this, and is it true? Let's think about it. Social norms and the social timeline, I guess, like the cultural timeline, is that what it would be? Like, looking at everyone around you, that's what it seems is normal. So that is what you are telling yourself. So is it true that you need to get married in your 20s? No, that's not true. So let's replace it. So we're going to use an empowering affirmation and belief instead of this limiting belief. So the new belief is going to be, I will get married when the time is right. I will get married when it feels right to me. I am on my own timeline. Everything happens for me. That is one of my favorites. So then we are going to repeat this affirmation over and over again because beliefs change with repetition and emotion, like we said earlier. So we are going to repeat this affirmation every day, saying, I will get married when the time is right, or my favorite, I am on my own timeline and everything is happening for me. Repeat that over and over and over again. Write it in your journal 5 times. Say it out loud 5 times in the morning and kind of emphasize each word differently. So I am on my own timeline and everything happens for me. I am on my own timeline and everything happens for me. I am on my own timeline and everything happens for me, etc. And you don't need to necessarily 100% believe the new thought at first, because I know it can be so hard when you're putting in a new belief that has such contrast from the previous one. But you just need to plant that idea in your mind like it's a seed, and then repeating it every single day is watering that seed. So the more that you say out loud, I am on my own timeline and everything is happening for me, you will start to believe it. For all of my visual learners out there, or I guess people that don't like to necessarily sit down and do journal prompts, this is another strategy that I used to release some of the limiting beliefs that I have about myself, that I had about myself, and bring in new beliefs. And so I drew 2 boxes on a piece of paper. On the left side, I wrote beliefs that I have stuck with. And on the right side, I put my new beliefs. So then in the left box where I put the beliefs that I have stuck with, I write down 5 or 6 limiting beliefs that have just been holding me so tight and holding me hostage, essentially. And then on the right, I draw an arrow across and I write the replacement belief. So if the belief was that I am fat because I looked at my in-body scan and thought that my number was not good, I will replace that with I have a healthy body that allows me to experience life in the ways that I enjoy every single day. Perfect. Great. Let's go along with the belief that I am behind in my 20s because I haven't gotten married yet, or whatever. I haven't bought a house yet. New belief. I am on my own timeline and everything is happening for me. And this can be so much fun and so empowering just to look at the contrast between that limiting belief and your new belief. And once you have this list of new beliefs, I want you to use this as your script in the morning every single day. Read them out loud. Same thing with the affirmation that we were repeating earlier. Beliefs change with repetition and emotion. So read these new beliefs with emotion every single morning, and you're planting the seed and then you're watering it every single day. And for my journaling girlies, I have a few more prompts that you can use this week if you want to really sit down and take a deep dive into your limiting beliefs and understanding yourself. Because the first step in healing these limiting beliefs is becoming aware of them. Number 1, what belief is currently keeping me stuck? 2, when did I start believing that? 3, what would I believe instead if I fully trusted myself? And 4, this one's my favorite, how would my life change if I no longer believed that? So how would my life change if I no longer believed that I needed to do this thing, that I needed to get married or buy a house or do this before I turned 30? How would my life change? Let's see. I would probably not be as stressed and have this constant feeling of anxiety that I'm behind because I let that go. It's not something that I'm worried about anymore because I know that everything is working out for me and I'm on my own timeline. If there's one thing that you take away from this episode, I want it to be that you are not your past and you are not your beliefs. And you always can change the story. You are the author of your life. You get to write a new one. So at any time when you feel stuck, frustrated, behind, anything, you get to write the new story. You don't have to stay stuck in that emotion if you don't want to. But you're the only one that can do that. So I really recommend sitting down this week, doing either of the activities that I listed for you to try with working through and understanding those limiting beliefs, and then beginning every day to rewrite that script that you have running in your mind. And the more that you water those, we're going to go with the planting the seed and watering it. The more that you water those seeds of good thought that you put into your mind every single day, the more that they will naturally repeat in your mind. And then the smaller those limiting beliefs that you had will be in your mind, because you'll be so focused on the good thoughts that you're putting into your mind. I hope this episode was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, I would love it if you shared this episode with a friend that you think it could help, or tag me on Instagram if you feel like this episode resonated with you, because I would love to know. Or just honestly give a little review for the pod, because I would love that as well, just to get your feedback. So thank you all for listening, and I will see you next week for another episode of the Balance Era podcast. Have a great week.